We saw the NBL debut of Javale Mcgee the other day, and while he put up big numbers himself, Illawarra ended up losing the game. So what went right, and ultimately what went wrong for the Hawks? So we start with the good. Now the good, and the thing that's going to set up Illawarra a lot this season, and where they're going to be the best, is on their offense, with a guy like Javale Mcgee, because he's going to be almost impossible to defend. And it almost all comes from really simple sets like this. A really simple screen, get the big involved, and alley-oop dunks. In a very similar vein, this was a couple of possessions later. Just a simple off-ball screen results in a wide-open look right under the basket. So few centers in the league are going to be able to contain that. You would think that Will Magnay would be one of them, being arguably the best local center in the league, but even he struggled in this matchup in this game. So Mcgee takes an early rest in the first quarter, but Magnay goes off, Mcgee comes back on. Here he's being guarded by rookie Kobe Williamson, and this is just an unfair matchup. He demands the ball, Illawarra get it to him, and then it's just a one-on-one, and it's such an easy take to the ring, and it gets his confidence up, and ultimately led to how dominant of an offensive performance he had in this game. And again, the very next possession, Kobe Williamson still guarding Javale Mcgee. Kobe Williamson only ended up playing 3 minutes in this game, and it was the last 3 minutes of this first quarter, because he simply cannot stop a guy like him. We go to the start of the second quarter now, and Will Magnay back on the floor guarding Javale Mcgee. And this is just another little wrinkle that he's added to his game, because he catches it, looks like he's going to go back to the basket, but he faces up and hits down the mid-range jump shot. Now, if he's going to start knocking down that at all consistently, then that's just going to add another, thing that the defenders have to consider, and so they can't cheat off of him and, give that up. The last 2 minutes of this second quarter, I'm going to break down pretty much the whole thing, but a little bit out of order, to touch on some positives and some negatives from the Hawks. But a positive that they were running a lot is whenever Will Magnay needed a rest, they went with Josh Bannon and a little bit of Majuk Deng playing the 5, trying to match up Javale Mcgee, trying to exploit it on Tassie's offense. But defensively, they were having a nightmare trying to slow him down, because as we roll on with this clip, Javale Mcgee just heads literally straight to the basket and gets the matchup here, and he wants the ball here, and he ends up getting it, and with no one else out of the way, he clears Dan Greta out of the way, and then just makes it look so easy, making the most of that size advantage. And Illawarra went to that a lot, and they got a lot of baskets because of it. Here's another example late in the third quarter. Bannon guarding Mcgee. Mcgee tries to get aggressive at the ring, forces the foul because Bannon literally has no other option there. Give up 2 points or give up the foul. And the last one, Mcgee being guarded by Bannon. We pause it here. He's telling Todd Blanchfield to clear out. He's saying, move, get out of the way, because Majuk Deng is hedging on the double, trying to not let Mcgee get the ball. As soon as he goes, Deng has to go. Ends up in a clear 1 out. Mcgee being guarded by Bannon. Majuk tries to help, but he can't give up the shooter in Todd Blanchfield, and it results in another 2 with the soft touch. We move on now to the defense, and this was a little bit of a mixed bag, and I feel like if teams can really figure out how to exploit it, then it might present a couple of holes in this Hawks defense. Because with Javale Mcgee as the anchor of this defense, as the center, they're in a drops coverage, and basically what that means is the big is almost always going to have 2 feet in the paint. Now, in a lineup like Tassie have right now, and similar to when Magnay's on the floor, the center is not a known 3-point shooter. Now, Magnay can stretch the floor and shoot the 3, but he's not a consistent threat, at least right now, which is why Tassie went to Bannon and Majuk Deng playing the 5 whenever Magnay was off the floor. But this is a good example of kind of the positive and the negative of the drops coverage. Now that block basically is the end goal of the drops coverage, with Mcgee always staying in the paint regardless of where the center is, and results in the block. That's exactly what you want. But Tassie get the offensive rebound, and then as we roll this clip on, the center, Williamson, comes and sets the screen here. McGee stays in the paint, kind of hoping that the center, or that the point guard, is going to try to get aggressive at the ring and he can get another block. But Benair recognizes that, catches the center not in the exact right position, puts up the floater, and it goes. And this is the play that Tasmania ran pretty much every single time Magnay was on the bench. So we can see Mcgee'S directing traffic, calling for the ball to be sent to the corner here to Bryce Hamilton, so that he can come up and set the screen. That's exactly what they do. Mcgee'S setting the three here at the 3-point line. Javale McGee, not wanting to leave this drops coverage, is stuck whether or not he goes and attacks Hamilton, who's already having a decent game and would have a very good game for the Jack Jumpers in the end. He's a step late, and Hamilton rises up and knocks down the triple. They did run a similar play with Magnay on the floor as well. So here he is lurking around the 3-point line, sets a big screen. Look at how late McGee is once again. And it's another easy basket for the Jack Jumpers. Another one that I just wanted to point out, because it didn't end up being anything, but it's a definite concern for the Illawarra Hawks. Have a look at this defense. Josh Bannon playing the center, and look at how far away Javale McGee is. Now, Tiger Campbell doesn't end up getting him the ball, but if that is a Geordie Hunter or a Tim Suarez or a Joe Luala-Chul, the point guard is finding this shooter over here, and that is an easy 3 every single day of the week. So not massive concerns right now, but something that Javale McGee has to realize, has to be taught by his team, is that the drops coverage is, it opens up gaps. It's similar to running a zone in that there are easy ways to exploit it if the offense knows how to. So all things considered, an extremely fun debut for Javale McGee. To no one's surprise, we're going to get a whole lot of highlight dunks, a whole lot of alley-oop catches, a whole lot of blocks. It's pretty clear that Javale McGee isn't used to playing against centers who can stretch the floor, and as many of them as there are in the NBL, pretty much every team has at least one 4 or 5 man who can consistently knock down the 3. And while Tasmania didn't exploit that as much as they probably could, I know that other teams definitely will. If I'm the Perth Wildcats, who's Illawarra's next opposition, and specifically if I'm Joe Luala-Chul, I'm licking my lips at the opportunity of wide open 3s. Some pretty easy fixes for the Illawarra Hawks. Javale McGee played the entire 4th quarter, so clearly his fitness is there. He'll easily be able to step out to these shooters and to be a little bit more versatile and a little bit more mobile on defense. So for Justin Tatum and co, it's pretty easy fixes. For a first game in the NBL, it was pretty good.